The Democrats thought nobody would notice.
I am not an MKUltra expert.
Why did the Dems send you here if you're not an MKUltra expert?
During a hearing on MKUltra, Nancy Mace uncovered far more than anyone expected. She even got one of the witnesses to admit that there had been a cover-up.
Is this a massive cover-up by the U.S. government?
It's certainly a cover-up of what happened in the past.
And today, we're breaking it all down. So let's get into it.
Thank you. I now recognize Representative Mace from South Carolina for 5 minutes.
Thank you so much. Dr. Janexi, you work with the NIH, correct?
No, I am no longer affiliated with the NIH.
When did you leave the NIH?
April of last year.
What is your area of expertise?
I'm a research psychologist, and I did not work at NIH.
And you're here for what reason?
I am here to testify about what is happening to the NIH right now.
You're not here to testify about MKUltra?
I am not an MKUltra expert.
Why did the Dems send you here if you're not an MKUltra expert?
But I am an expert in human subjects protection, which is related, and in the conduct of human subjects research.
Okay. But you don't know anything about MKUltra, which is the purpose of this hearing.
This hearing was originally scheduled for mid-May, but after 3 of the 4 invited witnesses declined to testify over safety concerns and fear of retaliation, it got moved back until the end of June. Now, the Democrats also approached it with total unseriousness. For starters, the witness they brought had no direct connection to MKUltra nor any knowledge of it. Then, they skipped the hearing altogether, arguing Congress had already investigated the program through the Church Committee and that Republicans weren't going to uncover anything new. Progressive outlets also went after Anna Paulina Luna, saying the hearing went off the rails. So it's only fair that we take a look at what one of the key witnesses actually had to say, especially since he studied this matter.
I have a couple questions for our witnesses who are here to talk about MKUltra, and thank you, gentlemen, Dr. Kinzer and Mr. O'Neill. What are some of the worst abuses that you're aware of in the MKUltra program?
I can start by just naming, I'll talk about one in particular that always sticks in my mind. In the federal prison in Lexington, Kentucky, a group of African-American inmates was segregated and fed what were described in the protocol as double, triple, and quadruple doses of LSD every day for 77 days.
Did they all survive?
We have no idea
Okay.
what happened to them. This has stuck with me ever since I wrote that book. What happened to them? Did they ever find out what was given to them? Did they think they were going crazy? I think if the...
Do you think we're still experimenting on prisoners or people in prison today?
I don't have any information about that.
Okay.
Dr. Kinzer is actually one of the more credible people you could hear from on this topic. He's a historian who's wrote an entire book on MKUltra called Poisoner in Chief, which focused on the CIA's mind control experiments in detail. He also documented how the man who oversaw the operation went on to lead a CIA program that created poisons and high-tech gadgets for spies to use. As many of you know, the biggest reason we still don't know the full scope of MKUltra is that most of the records were deliberately destroyed once the CIA realized that congressional investigations were closing in. Even so, we still have some tidbits of information that have surfaced over the years to give us a glimpse of what was happening. And the second witness filled in more of those missing pieces. Before we get to that though, here's a quick message from today's sponsor. Alright, this is a big one. While most people focus on the latest military hardware, the real race is over the critical minerals needed to build it. Tungsten is one of them. It plays a key role in fighter jets, tanks, missiles, and advanced defense systems. Yet we haven't commercially mined the metal in nearly a decade. That's why Washington is moving aggressively to rebuild domestic supply. The Department of War has already invested in restarting U.S. tungsten production, while President Trump launched Project Vault, committing another $12 billion towards critical minerals. Add another $30 billion dedicated to strengthening domestic supply chains, and the direction is clear. That brings us to Vault Strategic Mining, trading as KNOX in Canada and KNXFF in the United States. Instead of chasing new discoveries, this company is building a portfolio of historic American mines and using modern exploration techniques to unlock their remaining potential. Its flagship Nevada project was originally developed under a defense minerals exploration contract during World War II, making this more than a new discovery story. It's about restoring a resource that once supported America's defense industry. And timing also matters. Tungsten prices remain near record levels as governments search for reliable Western supply outside China. Vault's flagship sits within one of North America's best-known historic tungsten districts, putting the company directly where demand and policy are beginning to align. If you want to learn more about them, check out the link in the description. And a special thanks to Vault Strategic Mining for making today's video possible.
There were many. The Frank Olson case, which was referenced earlier, that was a murder. I don't believe that was a suicide. And the motivation was because he was going to be a whistleblower. He worked at the CIA, he worked in the development of biological weapons, and he was planning to go public and announced that the United States government was using biological weapons in the Korean War.
Gentlemen, how many people do you think died through the MKUltra program or were murdered?
No idea.
If those who died largely were outside the United States, many people were experimented to death in that safe house in Germany that I visited, and people in the neighborhood told me they knew what was going on in that house, and that people who were experimented to death are now buried in what used to be forest plots that are now covered over
Do you think
with
the German
apartments.
government knew what the U.S. government was doing? Do you think there was a partnership there or knowledge?
Yes. There is a memo that was written by the German Secret Service to Konrad Adenauer, the Chancellor of Germany. And Adenauer decided to put that aside and not to
I
investigate
have one more
further.
question.
Tom O'Neill, he's another credible source whose main expertise comes from investigative journalism tied to the Charles Manson case. He actually appeared on Joe Rogan's podcast back in 2020. And if you go through the comments, you'll find a lot of people loving the episode and praising him for sticking to what he could prove through hard evidence, instead of just making wild claims. As for the German connection, it goes way before MKUltra, as the US government smuggled thousands of German scientists after World War II, including some who had overseen concentration camp programs. In fact, it's pretty well documented that MKUltra wasn't even the CIA's first attempt at this kind of research. Earlier projects like Bluebird, which was later renamed Artichoke, were already exploring many of the same ideas. But at this point, you may be wondering, what good does all of this information coming out actually achieve? I get it. I'm going to let Dr. Kinzer explain that one.
As for the international situation at the time, I think it's very important to understand this because there is a sort of a parallel to today. The CIA misinterpreted several key incidents in the world, including those to which you referred, and this gave the CIA a reason to pretend that its research was purely defensive. So I think when you consider the world situation and the sense in Washington that we're surrounded by enemies, that becomes a very dangerous environment. Conspiracy theories stem from the growth of the covert sphere. There's a great contradiction in American life that we pretend to uphold certain principles at home and abroad, but it's evident to many Americans that we actually operate in opposition to those principles. And we operate by secret and anti-democratic means. That contributes to suspicion of government. And the very existence of MKUltra proves that some of the wildest fantasies about secret government research are actually close to reality. That makes the paranoid mindset seem ever more rational.
Some people argue that sunlight, that's the best disinfectant. Put everything we know about these programs out in the open and let the public decide what to make of it. But that should only be the first step. If there was wrongdoing, accountability should follow. Otherwise, all we're doing is confirming the belief that the government can break its own rules without any consequences. Whether you agree with those programs or not, it reinforces the perception that the government never truly reckoned with what happened. And when there are still allegations that thousands of Americans may have been unknowingly experimented on, it's not hard to understand why so many people remain skeptical decades later. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on the story. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and remember, keep thinking.